Hey guys, Dov here, back with another unit highlight and scampering away right off the bat. Today we're looking at Death Runners. Quick reminder, if you guys are enjoying the series, found it useful, give it a like, share it with a friend. It definitely helps the channel and I would greatly appreciate it. So, got some Death Runners here. They had some changes from their previous iteration when this guy here, Deathmaster Snitch DLC, came out. They had their model count reduced, and kind of had some other stat changes here, but they've got this Regiment of Renown, Vixtran's Death Squad, plus a couple more. 3 Rat Ogres in the back, Hell Pit Abomination, Snitch, an Assassin, and an Eshin Sorcerer. So very fun Eshin-themed build with the Hell Pit, obviously, and the other Clan Molder elements. And yeah, lots of Slave Slingers. This is a replay that happened recently on one of my streams. He's up against Empire with Marcus here. Got a Steam Tank, Fire Wizard, Bright Wizard there, Wild Hellstorm Rocket Battery pick, Spearman with Shields, got some Archers, Empire Knights, so a nice, decent full stack here. But of course, the Ninja Rats, they've popped their concealment bombs, and Death Runners have this, along with all the Skaven assassin characters, all the Clan Eshin characters, and of course Triads can pop this, where they remain almost completely unspottable. You can see just barely getting spotted. But this right here I wanted to highlight. This is a spell you don't see used super often from the lore of Stealth for the Skaven. What it does here is it actually disrupts the Swordsman's formation, but you can see it doesn't affect the Death Runners at all. The ROR Death Runners immediately punch through to the second line. They're going to start to absolutely trash these Archers here. I love the use of that spell. I think that might be the only time I've seen it used like that in multiplayer to do, I guess, what it's intended to and just run straight through a unit. So, the thing about Death Runners, they do take a lot of damage from magic. They have very low armor and HP, relying mostly on physical resistance, but even there, you can see they took a decent amount of damage, but they're still able to hang in, keep fighting with most of their models. You got anti-infantry armor piercing damage, decent attack stats, but of course the big benefit comes from the Weeping Blade, which is not totally unique to them. The Triads have it, the Clan Eshin units also have it. I guess the Sorcerer doesn't, but like Snitch does, the Master Assassin does. They sunder armor by 50%, which is pretty crazy. We check in here, like with this Steam Tank, you can see it's down to 80 armor. It scales so well against units that have very, very high armor. Like anything of over 110, I guess over like 120 is equal to a 60 armor debuff, which is like the higher tier armor debuffs, right? Now they are a little squishy, pretty low melee defense, and again, only that physical resistance. The Clan Vixtran's Death Squad here got some extra special abilities, give them some more physical resistance, speed, and melee defense. And of course, while that strength in numbers is active, they have even more. So they have very solid melee defense, actually, but still low armor, low HP. Take a lot of shock damage like you saw from that Empire Knight charge there, but still hanging in here, doing a lot of anti-infantry damage, and they just rip apart infantry. Their anti-infantry bonus is pretty good. 10 bonus versus infantry is quite solid, and their baseline stats aren't amazing, but considering their kind of specialist utility that you can get them often into the fight without taking any damage at all, which is often a downside of units in this class, right? We've looked a little bit at some non-armor piercing. I guess you could call these guys dual-wielding DPS units. Similar to Plague Monks, but a little bit more specialized armor piercing. And, yeah, of course, the stealth aspect as well is quite strong. Absolutely ransacking the Empire lines here, and it's going to be a very quick victory. Despite the fact Empire player played pretty well here, you can see a lot of tattered rats all over the place. The Hell Pit Abomination even took a lot of damage, but just the speed, another thing too, that's quite deceptive. Skaven are a faction that, while they don't have any like true fast attack units in the 90 speed range, their average speed across all of their units is pretty high, and that's mostly because all the Skaven infantry moves at a good clip, especially when they're running scared. But the Clan Eshin units even more so. These guys can scoot, and look at that, 74 kills, 2 XP chevrons there, 121 for these guys. The Vixtrans also 67. Good stuff, nice kill totals across the board there. And good effort by FPOD. Love the wild pick of the Hellstorm Rocket Battery. The Mortars got even more kills, though, which is kind of sad at the end of the day. But yeah, I do have another replay to show you guys of kind of taking Get Up Mule's build and adapting it for my own use. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to that. Alright, and we're back. This time the Master Assassin's leading the way, and we've got just 2 Death Runners, the ROR, and some regular Death Runners here, plus the Triads. Also have Weeping Blade, the Regiment-Renowned Triads for their summoning. And yeah, up against Rider of Rohan's High Elves here. He's got Eltharion, and I took the ROR Jezzails as well. They, of course, have Stalk and Snipe. We can see there's some Vanguarded Reavers ready to come in and take them out. Bunch of Rangers, some Silver Helms, Lyrian Reavers, Swordmasters of Hoeth here, so 1 elite anti-infantry option. Rangers, and yeah, Silver Guard, pretty decent stuff. Eltharion, I figured I might see some Flying Lord here potentially, so the thing I like about the Master Assassin here is his ability, Looming Dread. I go ahead and take a look here at this. Gives negative missile resistance, speed, and melee defense, all very nice. All characters have an innate missile resistance, so like here, I throw some Ninja Stars and the Natty Bubo Sharpshooters taking their pot shots at Eltharion. All the meanwhile, I've popped concealment bombs and I'm flanking around with this giant force here. Rider Rohan's going to throw a fiery convocation down the line. Unfortunately, does not clip his second unit because they kind of move forward into the engagement out of the way, but he is able to get into the back line here with these Reavers. Great job of shutting down the Natty Bubo Sharpshooters. Eltharion's already taken a significant amount of damage, though. That character missile resistance is something that's pretty important, and being able to tear that away for a time is very helpful, but all of a sudden, the ambush is real. All these ninja rats pop up. Silver Guards are going to rush in to try and hold back the tide, but although Silver Guards are one of the better defensive units in the game, they are going to fall over very, very quickly to Death Runners. Clan Victron's Death Squad and the non-summoned, the actual real Triads, are going to detach here, come around, catch these Silver Helms and Archers. Likewise, this time we're actually using the Damaging Vortex here on these Swordmasters and the Archers in the back line. If we take a look inside this cone of smoke and low FPS, you can see it's a very bad time for everyone in there. Actually did quite a bit of damage to the Archers, and that was Overcast, but I have to say that spell did a lot more damage than I remember it doing. That being said, over here on the side, Rat Ogres are taking some damage from Silver Helms, but also able to get a pretty favorable engagement there, and again, moving towards a swift victory, although of course High Elves with decent leadership, they will fight to the end still, and these Reavers just kind of ping-ponging around, taking out some different light targets. Problem is, Eltharion can continue to try and heal himself and his Swordmasters here, which he will do. Pops then down onto the ground, but like this Noble on foot here, he is getting kind of wrecked by these Clan, I say Clan Victron, that's not actually the name, it's just Victron's Death Squad, but you can see there with that melee defense active, it's up to 54 melee defense with these 2 abilities stacked together, so quite impressive considering a unit of their class. They'll be able to fight these Swordmasters no problem, fight this Noble no problem. More Ninja Stars being thrown at Eltharion. Looks like, yeah, just casting some more heals around. Actually able to sustain for a pretty decent amount of time. A little bit impressive, honestly. But between the Poison Missile of the Master Assassin and that Looming Dread, we can really control movements, at least for a limited amount of time. Eltharion's been able to claw back, though. I mean, it was looking really, really dicey. Balance power still mostly in my favor, and that's because of this Heroic Core and all these Death Runners over here. The Hell Pit Abomination as well, mostly just been used to terror out units at this point, but Silver Helms and Reavers coming over here trying to make their presence felt. They actually do manage to rout some of the Rat Ogres, and Rangers had a good engagement in the front line. 46 kills there, 121 kills there. So although it might seem like a very fast one-sided replay, it's actually not. That's just kind of how certain games go, depending on the builds, and these Death Runner builds tend to go pretty fast, because Death Runners themselves are pretty fast, and once the ambush comes, it can be a very real kind of panic moment for your opponent. One of the best things you can do in this game is to try and force your opponent to make more mistakes than you, and the element of surprise is a big part of that, and I feel that is a very significant tool in Death Runner's arsenal. A lot of this could be said of Triads as well, but Death Runners in particular, sometimes that, like, elite tier defensive infantry, like maybe not even elite tier, but mid to elite tier defensive infantry, stuff like, you know, Silver Guard, Chaos Warriors, it can be a common pick sometimes against Skaven, and they'll trade very well into most of your infantry. Death Runners kind of give you that extra option, and it's just something else to account for, right? The Skaven have a lot of ways of dealing with enemy infantry, whether that's by draining them with a plague furnace, using death runners, obviously, like here. You can use like mortars and stuff too. Try and go with a more artillery-centric approach. There's a lot of things you can do, but this is, because it's kind of different than what you would expect. It's kind of a more aggressive style of play in a sense. Can definitely catch opponents off guard, and it's just another thing you have to plan for when you're fighting against Skaven. Always got to check your corners, make sure you've got good scouting, and just be careful of overcommitting, because there could always be some hidden ninja rats somewhere around the corner. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. Big thanks to my opponents and to you for watching. Yeah, if you like this sort of content, like, subscribe, give it a share. Appreciate all the support you guys give me. Thanks again. See you next time.